Let us start Foreign Minister Hayashi's regular press conference. Minister, the floor is yours, sir. Just one comment from me. The 20th of January in the evening, the 6th Japan-France Foreign and Defense Ministerial meeting, 2+2, will be held as a video conference. According to our plan from Japan, I myself, Minister Kishi of Defense from France, Luturia Minister for Europe and Foreign Affairs, and Parley, Minister for the Armed Forces of France, who are going to participate with our special partner, France, that shares basic values and strategic interests. We intend to have a broad-ranging discussion, including Japan-France security and defense cooperation and regional situations, to further boost bilateral collaboration. Thank you.
Please raise your hand if you have any questions. After being called upon, please walk toward the microphone and identify yourself with name and affiliation. Mr. Aoki? NHK Aoki, what you have mentioned, 2+2 between Japan and France, what are the planned agenda items? Basic value and strategic partner is being shared with France. France is a special partner to Japan. And national securities, defense cooperations between Japan and France, as well as the regional circumstances, are some of the topics to cover the wide ground so as to further strengthen the relationships between the two nations.
Next question, please. Bun-san. Hokkaido, about diplomacy with Russia. On the 14th, Foreign Minister Lavrov had a press conference in Moscow coordinating his visit to Japan. Within 2 or 3 months, this scheduling might be coordinated. What about the coordination situation? My second question, in the press conference, the conclusion of the peace treaty without any conditions and some of the issues about the U.S.-Japan, the security, and also the Northern Territories is a result of the Second World War. But what's the understanding of the government? Regarding Foreign Minister Lavrov's press conference, I'm aware of his comment. But about each and every comment, I would like to refrain from making a comment on those. For Northern Territories, we have sovereignty over those islands. As the government, our basic policy is to resolve the territorial issues and concluding the peace treaty. Under the basic policy, we will be tenacious in addressing this issue. Also, regarding the Foreign Minister Lavrov's scheduling in visiting Japan, nothing has been decided. November last year, between Japan and Russia, telephone talk was held between foreign ministers. Both of us agreed that we expected to have an in-person meeting. We would like to look at the situation concerning the COVID-19 at appropriate time. We would like to keep coordinating these matters to realize the meeting.
Next question, please. Nobura-san, please. Nobira from Asahi. About the volcanic eruptions in Tonga. What is the situation of Japanese national in Tonga that is understood by MOFA, and what is the planned assistance from MOFA? In Tonga, there is a large-scale eruptions occurred in Tonga. Centering around the capital, there has been some damages of inundations of the buildings and power outage, and some of the communications troubles that we understand have occurred. In Tonga Tapu Island, where the capital is located, we have a clearer view about the extent of the damage, and Tonga government has confirmed at least the deaths of 2 persons, and also dozens of buildings is either partially destroyed or fully destroyed. On the other hand, for the isolated island where the communications cable has been shut down, we still don't know the extent of the damages. The Tonga Navy has dispatched the vessel to confirm the extent of the damage. Our understanding is that it will require some more time before the scale of the damage is being understood. As for the Japanese living in Tonga, there is about 40 Japanese residing as of 15th of January. At the moment, we have not heard of any threat to the life or the physical damages sustained to Japan. But in any case, the Japanese government will do all we can to confirm the safety of the Japanese nationals. As with regard to the support to Tonga, we will continue to have an accurate information about the local situations, and we continuing with the close communications with the government, and we will do all we can to provide support.
Next question, please, Abe-san. Yomiuri, my name is Abe. At the end of last year, about World Heritage, as a candidate for the recommendations from Japan about gold mines of Sado Island, at the Cultural Affairs Council, whether the government would recommend this, there's going to be comprehensive approach. But specifically, from what perspectives will it be considered? What about the status of the studying at the moment? Cultural Affairs Council of the Cultural Agency gave a comment as the government. We are addressing this matter in a comprehensive manner. About this registration, to realize the registration, what would be the most effective? From that perspective, within the government, we are studying this matter comprehensively.
Any other question? Aoki-san? NHK, Aoki. Regarding Tonga, as for the registrations of the 40 Japanese nationals, at least have the government has communicated at least one time to all those 40 Japanese. As for Japanese residing in Tonga, I have already mentioned about that. As for the further details, please talk with the consulate.
Next question, please, Yu-san. Higuchi from Chugoku newspaper. Yesterday, Prime Minister Kishida gave a policy speech. Well, towards the world free of nuclear weapons, the Wise Persons Council, and also he would like to hold a meeting in Hiroshima. Now, the world without free of nuclear weapons, Minister of Foreign Affairs is involved in this. So, will it be an effective way to realize that? And in what way are you planning to concretize calling upon world leaders? But how do you intend to do this? Yesterday, in his policy speech, Prime Minister Kishida, towards the world free of nuclear weapons, International Wise Persons Council launch was expressed. In the so-called International Wise Persons Council, nuclear power states and non-nuclear weapons states, transcending the situation of each country, imparting wisdom from all the participants towards the realization of the world free of nuclear weapons. On the concrete pathway, we would like to make this forum where the candid discussions will take place. When Prime Minister was Foreign Minister, he established Eminent Persons Council from Japan and various countries. Knowledgeable persons, experts participated in this International Wise Persons Council. The current and the former political leaders perhaps could be involved in one way or another. We would like to make it a forum to enhance the momentum, international momentum towards world free of nuclear weapons. Within this year, we would like to hold the first meeting in Hiroshima. That's our intent. Regarding the details of the participants, we would like to work on the coordination.
Any other questions? Please. The world leaders, as former leaders, as well as the current leaders, that may attract attentions. From what perspective are you going to make a selections, as make approaches to those leaders? As I mentioned earlier, world without nuclear weapons. In order to materialize such world, we would like to have an open and candid discussions and to come up with a specific pathway now toward realizations of the world without nuclear weapons, and we would like to enhance the momentum, international momentum. From that perspective, selections shall be made. However, we will further coordinate for the further details.
Any other questions? Maeda-san? Kyodo Tsushin Maeda. About the Sado gold mine. The government is looking at this in a comprehensive manner. On the other hand, from South Korea, I understand they are protesting. So there's resistance from South Korea and some diplomatic concerns. As an element in this comprehensive approach, is it included? That's my question. About the viewpoint from South Korea, I am aware of that. But to South Korea, based on our approach, we did make communication about the former civilian workers from the Korean Peninsula. We had the consistent approach, and we made communication to them based on that approach. To realize this registration, what would be the most effective? From that perspective, we would like to look at this in a comprehensive manner.
Nobira-san, please. Asahi Shimbun, Nobira. Related question. In order to materialize registrations, what will be the most effective approach? That is what you have mentioned. The understanding of other nations, will that be one factor? As I mentioned earlier, I think I have already responded to your questions. From that perspective, within the government, we will give a comprehensive look. That's what we are doing at the moment. Let me refrain from giving you the further details.
Any other questions, please? The person, please be concise in your question. Thank you very much. IWJ Holmes is my name. U.S.-Japan relation. I have a question. A little while ago, January 7th in Tokyo, Foreign Minister Hayashi and Raymond Green chargé d'affaires of the United States, U.S. and Japan, the joint research, joint development, and also the letter of exchange of letter was conducted on the cooperation. On the Foreign Affairs homepage, effective enhancement of the defense measures, and it will benefit those. And also December 7th, the Kennedy Graduate School at Harvard announced a certain Graham Allison was one of the authors. Allison report is the name given to this report. According to this Allison report, China's supremacy in technology, that perspective is introduced. Some say that in certain technological areas, China is already number one. In other areas, within a decade, China would likely to beat the United States. Now, currently, in the case of the contingency in Taiwan, or you are actually looking at China as the assumed enemy. Obsequiousness, the diplomacy has been followed, perhaps just following the United States. Don't you have that kind of thing? China is emerging in technological prowess. Do you really think that Japan is serious in following this approach? Have you actually studied the so-called Allison reports? About this Allison report, I am aware of that Allison report, but it's not that I have digested them and analyzed them in detail. Perhaps later we could have a separate occasion to look at this. Now, U.S.-Japan alliance and Japan-China diplomacy. Now, regarding the U.S.-Japan alliance for the security and diplomacy, this is the linchpin, and also for the peace and prosperity of the Indo-Pacific area and the international community. This is the cornerstone. Security environment surrounding Japan is becoming severer and more certainty. The importance of U.S.-Japan alliance is increasing even more than before. Now, relation with China, because it's a neighboring country, there are various issues, including the Senkaku Islands, including that situation, East China Sea, South China Sea, the attempt to change, unilateral attempt to change the status quo, and expansion and more vigorous activities of military activities in the periphery of Japan. This is a strong concern both for the region, including Japan, and the international community in security. What needs to be asserted to China will be asserted. We will be asking them, urging them to be responsible in their actions. for Japan's peace and stability, including the Senkaku Islands, land, area, air of Japan, the free and international order should be protected with U.S. and Japan alliance as a linchpin. We will be asserting what needs to be asserted, including the concerns. We will be having rounds of dialogues to cooperate where we have common issues, and this year is the 50th anniversary of the normalization of ties. We would like to be constructive and stable.
Azuhari-san, please.
News of Japan. My question is about the abductees. It has been a lingering problem and humanitarian with catastrophic consequences on the families. Would Japan be willing to ask other countries who had experience in bringing their abductees from North Korea for kind of help or coordination, such as Lebanon, for example, in the Middle East? Especially some Middle East countries have diplomatic relations with North Korea, and that might be helpful. Thank you.
はい、ありがとうございます。
Thank you very much. With regard to the abductions issues, on top of the direct approaches that we are making to North Korea, as you have just mentioned, and inclusive of the related nations, inclusive of the Middle Eastern countries, we are seizing all the possible high-level opportunities and been repeatedly explaining the positions of Japan regarding the abductions issues, and we are gaining the support and understanding from many countries. The abductions issue is the foremost importance and challenges for the administrations. Let me refrain from mentioning of the specific cooperations and pathway. However, inclusive of the Middle East, we will like to maintain close communications with the international community so that we will be able to materialize the early return of all the abductees, and we will seize all the possible opportunities.
Any other questions? If not, we would like to conclude the press conference. Thank you.